People have asked me recently, they've seen these videos about oblique strategies for leaders, maybe they've seen the box offered on my webpage, and they've asked me, well, but can you explain a bit more? What is it exactly? What are these oblique strategies for leaders? So this is an explainer video about what they are. So first of all, that's what they are. They are a box, oblique strategies for leaders, with 100 cards. So there are 100 cards in this box, and a little booklet explains things. And the idea is that leaders can work with these cards when they reflect their own behavior. Where did I get that from? Well, there's actually two sources that inspired me to produce these cards. One is, there is a similar box like that with 100 cards in that it's called Oblique Strategies. They have been developed by Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt. Brian Eno is a musician and composer. Peter Schmidt was working in the visual arts. And in the 70s they have found that they both work with cards to overcome creative blocks. So that either they just take a card and do whatever is on that card, or they browse through the cards and kind of look for what is talking to them most. And they did what the card inspired them to do. The second source was a book by John Kay, an economist, called Obliquity, which explains how in many contexts the most successful way to achieve certain targets is not by going straight at them, but by going in oblique ways, indirectly, by doing something else, and then what you want actually happens as a consequence of that. And I think both these approaches very much are reflected in the nature of leadership, and that's why I started working for that, for two reasons. One reason is that in leadership many good approaches are highly contextual. So that means that in each context an approach, the conditions why an approach would work well are different. So it's very difficult to say this is a fully fledged solution, copy paste the solution in your environment and it will work as well. Well, no, you'd have to adapt it. You can be inspired by that solution, but you cannot simply copy paste it. And the other reason is that many things in leadership are occasional. What do I mean by occasional? Well, let's first take something which is not occasional. If you tell me the issue that you want to talk about and you want to improve about yourself is prioritization and planning, and then we might come up with an idea that you do, for example, your weekly planning every Monday morning, you dedicate 15 minutes and you go through a certain set of questions in order to make your weekly plan. And over time we can improve these questions and look back on the week in order to improve that your plan becomes more realistic and so on and so forth. But everything depends on the fact that you dedicate these 15 minutes every Monday to your plan. You put it in your calendar and it's there. Now, when instead of planning we take a topic like, I don't know, how you behave in conflicts, or that you have the tendency to come with your solutions way too quickly so that you don't give the other people space to develop their own ideas. Then, yes, we can talk about how you could improve that, but you have no idea when the next occasion will come up when that's actually relevant. So we can't put some routine in your daily work that will actually guarantee that it happens. It needs to be spontaneous in response to the occasion. So when you compare this set of cards to a book says, well, this is a topic I hope it is going to be relevant soon for you. And if the book is written badly, it says, okay, do these 5 steps for success because I've seen it done many times. But the book doesn't know how your context looks like. So here the cards work in a different way, because the cards say, well, there are 100 cards, and by the way, there could be 1,000 cards. So there are 100 cards which are interesting, worthwhile perspectives. Which of these cards are actually relevant right now for the situation you're thinking about? I don't know. So, go through them and throw away many of them for now. They might be interesting another time, or never. I don't know. But out of these 100, hopefully, you will pick 1 or 2 which are helpful. And you'll pick 1 or 2 which are maybe not the usual way in which you think. So they invite you to think differently, to look differently at your situation. Once you've done that, I trust that you are capable of building your solution. So the card doesn't give you a solution. The card is very short, very few words on purpose, because it only wants to inspire you to build your own solution. So it's about perspectives, it's about invitations. It's not about solutions, and it's not about instructions. You have to do that right now. And the idea that you work with it various ways, maybe on a regular basis, you go through them until something speaks to you, or when you think about some hard issue that you have, and then you take them and see whether some alternative perspective is proposed by these cards. The idea of leadership behind that is, of course, again, obliquity. So let's take two extremes. Take the idea of, you probably know this image of Napoleon on the horse, who says, army, follow me, and then everybody follows. This is kind of the straight, heroic, charging kind of leadership. What happens if the army doesn't really follow, or follows in different ways? Compare that to another figure, and it's slightly more complicated. Take Star Wars. Take the Emperor, or at the beginning the Senator Palpatine, who then later becomes the Emperor.
Everything that has transpired has done so according to my design.
And now take away everything that makes that person or that character bad. So the bad intentions, the morally corrupt intentions that he has, torture and all this bad behavior that he has towards people. But just look at how the person or this character approaches the issue of leadership. The person is practically never center stage. He's never direct. It's always, how can I send these people, tell them some information, let them meet some other people with some other intentions and other informations, and then something happens, which, as he says in his way, it's happening exactly as I planned it. Well, maybe the reality is you can't really plan it so exactly, but you can plan things in oblique ways to evolve and to happen in this way. So take a good version of the Emperor from Star Wars instead of an equally good version of the straight charging Napoleon, and think about when one image works better in your situation as compared to the other.